It is my great pleasure to introduce Phil McKinney. I'd like to ask Phil, so you're speaking to a lot of Fortune 500 companies today, you were telling me, and everyone seems to be focused on innovation. It's sort of the word du jour. We're all in a very fashionable place here.
As I say, it's the buzzword bingo word of the decade.
Right, so here we are, and so why do you think that is the case? And also, what can you share with us on the importance of leadership in making corporate innovation work?
But what's interesting is everybody mentally gets the innovation story. I mean, there was a Harvard business case study a while back that did a survey of senior executives. I think it was Harvard. I'm pretty sure it was Harvard. Where they did surveyed a bunch of CEOs, public companies, and asked them about their thoughts on innovation. One, do you think innovation is important to your organization? 92% said yes, it's important to our organization. Next question. What do you think do you think innovation is important to your share price and to the perceptions of your business to your shareholders? 86% said, you betcha. Next question. How confident are that you've got the innovation process figured out and you've got good approach inside your organization? 34%. So, people think it's important. It's important to my share price, but I don't have a clue how to do it. And it's really what you're seeing now is, I understand it's important. I see it as kind of this magic thing that kind of happens inside my organization, but I don't know how to do it within my organization. And so there's just, the insatiable desire within the CEOs at the top Fortune 250 companies about understanding how other organizations do it, lessons learned, those types of things. And so that's primarily when I find myself doing these speaking engagements or running these I do these full-day workshops called innovation boot camps, is to help the CEOs and their senior leadership team understand, the challenges of innovation and actually help them create their own process. Because there's no such thing as a cookie cutter. One size does not fit all, because organizations are different and cultures are different. You need to, it's basically rip off and steal the best ideas from the people who are doing it out there the best, and then adapt it to your organization as you go, because it's not a one-size-fits-all.
A lot of these innovation groups seem to like to take themselves off, into some kind of remote place and put a wall around themselves and say, okay, here, we're the innovation group, and you guys are the plain old boring group, and you stay over here, and we're over here. And that's a surefire way to get antibodies and resistance and not invented here syndrome. So can you talk about how some of the practices that you have to make sort of this, seamless integration happen better?
Yeah, I mean, part of the challenge with a lot of the innovation approaches is this pirate mentality, right? So I'm going to go off, secure another building, lock off a floor, raise the pirate flag, change the key card so nobody else from the mothership can get into the front door, all those types of things. And basically, you just paint a target on that entire organization, right? The corporate antibodies come out in swarms, and their whole job is to crush this foreign entity that's invaded the organization, and they're going to do anything in their power to crush it. What we do instead with the Innovation Program Office is understanding that if you want to take advantage of something, like the scale and size of HP, 340,000 employees, 450 PhD researchers in HP labs, 45,000 engineers inside of HP, $15 billion of cash. Anybody would die for those kinds of resources, but how do you leverage that? The way to leverage it is you got to work within the organization. And so what we do with the Innovation Program Office is yes, it's a separate funded, they have a separate charter, but ultimately they know that whatever they develop has to go back into the mothership in order to take advantage of that scale and size. So they understand where the target is. But more importantly, the people that I recruit into the Innovation Program Offices are people who know the HP organization very well. In fact, I jokingly tell everybody on my team that you got hired because you're the Radar O'Reilly of your expertise. You know how to get a PO through the system in 24 hours, not 30 days. You know the people over there in manufacturing, so we can sneak something under the production run and get a prototype done in 10% of the time, taking advantage of HP's scale, those types of things. So there's a whole operations staff that supports the, quote, people who are doing the innovation side, but an entire operations staff that makes the magic happen by taking advantage of the HP organization. And actually what we find is that when we go off and ask for that help and we bring those people into the process, they're absolutely thrilled. They will drop whatever they're doing to focus on helping us on the innovation because they recognize that they're now involved in something that's cool, that's interesting, it's changing, it's going to be the great thing. So rather than pushing them away, we've gone with the approach of actually bringing them in. One of the things we do is we don't hide the innovation pipeline. We have an online system called the HP Garage, throwback to Bill and Dave. It's online. Anybody with an HP.com email address can log on to the HP Garage. They can submit an idea. They can vote on an idea. So give it a thumbs up, give it a thumbs down. They see 100% of everything that's in the pipeline. There's no secret. There's no locked door. There's nothing, hidden from them. Any HP employee can see 100% of everything that's in the innovation pipeline. And what we find is teams then self-form. Hey, I'm doing something similar in this division, or I'm doing something over here. Hey, I got a personal passion about that. In HP, you can give 20% of your time to work on projects of interest. And so we have literally, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of hours coming into the innovation program office, people giving their 20% time to work on projects that they're passionate about and they're interested in. So for us, it's less about, I'm not a big believer in locking it off and barring the door and us versus them, because again, it just antagonizes the corporate antibodies. For us, it's really about having that transparency and allowing any HP employee to, one, come up with an idea, lead an idea, participate in an idea, criticize an idea, or help an idea actually get through all the way through the process.
So in innovation, we talk a lot about creativity and how important creativity is in creating change and innovation. We are now living in an age now where you can just press a button and do things the way the things were done before. The world is changing beneath our feet. We have to be quick on our feet. We have to figure things out. So creativity, what we call CQ, creativity quotient, which is now more important apparently than EQ or IQ. So what are your observations on how well people, teams, and organizations can enhance and strengthen their CQ?
Well, I think part of the challenge is, and I'm trying to avoid getting on my educational soapbox here, but I don't think I'm going to avoid it. I got myself in a little bit of trouble with the Obama administration, which I guess it's a good thing I wasn't here this morning, right? About some comments I made about the U.S. educational system. And just really quickly, part of the challenge that we've got, and I'm going to focus it on as a U.S. example, but albeit I talk to government leaders all over the world, is the graduates that we produce out of the educational system today. I assume that when I hire a student out of the university system, they've got the technical skills. They've got a diploma, top university, degree program. They know the technical skills. Don't question the technical skills. What's missing is critical thinking skills. We are producing the world's greatest test takers. That's actually the quote that got me into trouble, and I ended up spending a fair amount in DC trying to explain what I meant by that. But I think it's fairly obvious. I mean, we've taken the role of any form of critical thinking skills out of the educational system, and it's a rote memorization process. And so we are challenged at HP at finding and hiring people that not only have the technical skills, but bring that whole part of them that is untapped, which is their own critical thinking skills, their own creativity skills, to the table. Because for me, it's not that dollar. We talked before, my budget hasn't been cut. In the Innovation Program Office, the budget has never been touched through all the changes and 3 CEOs and the changes at the board of directors level and the economic impact to the businesses. It's never been touched. It's not a money issue. Where I am challenged and where every executive I talk to at every one of the major companies, it's not a money issue. It's a lack of really good ideas. There's 2 fundamental challenges that every executive deals with. The innovation gap, the need for ideas and the lack of supply, and then the innovation delay. From the time I say go, how fast can you translate that idea to something that goes on the shelf? It's the 2 fundamental things that are top of mind for every executive that I run into and talk to. And that innovation gap is dictated by the people, the organizations, the culture, the level of support from senior executives, all of that plays a key component. But one of those key components is how do you help people realize that everybody inside of an organization has a role to play on the creative economy within the organization. At HP, we've been fairly successful. I run a workshop we call Innovation Boot Camp. It's a one-day session. I teach it. We bring in employees, and it's really about helping employees unleash their own personal creativity. To learn the fact is, creativity is not a gift from God. It's not that I'm blessed with it and you're not. Every one of us is creative. It's a skill you can learn, a skill you can practice, and a skill you can become proficient at. And in one day, I can transform anybody. Anybody in this room, spend one day with me, and I'll change your entire perspective on your own ability to be highly creative in your current job, in your current role, even on, in whatever areas. And so for us, it's about how do we ignite and unleash the whole creative potential within the employee base of HP. It's gotten to the point now, for instance, I walk into the HP cafeteria in Cupertino, which is where my office is based out of, and there's a guy in the kitchen, honest to God, he's a cook in the HP cafeteria, right, who's been working for the last, I don't know how many months on a design for a new keyboard scaled for the size of kids' hands. Because kids under the age of 3 have a real problem using the traditional keyboard that comes with a PC. And he's just got this passion. But he's a cook in the cafeteria at HP Cupertino. And he went through, he's heard about the innovation programs, he's seen the output, he's pitching ideas. So it's really about how do you unleash that.
What are the key traits of successful innovation leaders?
When I'm recruiting people that are going to become part of the innovation program office, whether it's people we hire from the outside, which to be quite honest is probably less than 25% of my team, 75% of my team come from within HP. I mean, that's the benefit of HP in the fact that I've got 340,000 employees to choose from. But the key trait that I look for is what I call T-shaped individuals. So what do I mean by T-shaped individuals? One is they have some form of technical expertise in an area. So Mickey Calkins, who's one of probably my top innovation program managers, managing an idea from literally nothing on a piece of paper until it ships out the door. But her expertise is in human factors. She's a human factors expert, world-renowned, right? So she brings a very deep expertise, but if you look at her career, she's worked in sales, she's worked in marketing, she's run technical teams, she used to be a programmer, she's a human factors expert, she was a management consultant. So it's about having that breadth, understanding the end-to-end. You can either be a very, very deep individual, but in this case, it's very much creating this horizontal. I mean, in fact, in my case, I'm a software engineer by training, high performance pattern recognition, University of Illinois. But my first job, I got recruited by a guy by the name of Bob Davis, who's renowned. He's the original 60s and 70s in the early days of software. And it was the first advice and best advice I ever got from my mentor, which was, you can be the world's greatest software engineer, and you'll spend the next 30 years of your career being a software engineer. He goes, it's about creating the breadth. He put me, I was in a here I am, just out of college, and I'm doing sales. I spent 6 months on a sales team, bagging quota. Then I was in finance. Then I was in marketing. Best advice I ever got from a mentor. And this is what we look for. I look for people who've got T-shaped characteristics. I'm looking for the breadth and variety of industries. And I'm looking for key technical or key expertise areas that help build out the overall quality of the team.
That's great. And passion.
Passion is everything for me. I mean, in fact, this morning I put a tweet out. It's getting a little bit of traffic here, which is, passion will make up for lapses in technical skill. Because I can teach the skill. What I can't do is instill passion. And so when we look at the innovation champions, the people who come to us with the ideas, passion is the number one metric I look for. If I go back and look at projects that were successful or projects that failed, Projects that the odds of a project being successful goes up orders of magnitude if I've got a highly passionate innovation champion. An innovation champion, in my mind, is that person who's standing on my desk with their hair on fire. You know, this is the thing. They're going to do anything and everything for this idea now to make it successful. Now, the reality is innovation champions typically are not very good at managing. They're not very good at directing. They got passion. They lack finesse, right? And I'll tell you, I probably spent half my time helping the innovation champions refine the pitch. You know, because they got to make a pitch. They got to make a pitch to a group of executives who review the ideas, and we select which ones get funded. So we spent a lot of time coaching them on how to craft the pitch, how to sell the story, how to convey the vision, you know? And I jokingly refer to it, I said the unique challenge they have, and it's probably the same case in this room, given you guys all see pitches all the time, is when you've seen so many things, some get calloused over time, because, you know, I've seen this is the 50th time I've seen this idea come before me, right? And what I refer to in HP is we suffer from a little bit of ADD executives. You know, they'll give you 10 minutes. If you don't catch them in the first 10 minutes, their brain's off, you know, thinking about, you know, what they're going to have for lunch. And so we spend a lot of time helping these champions refine the pitch, because that will make or break their idea. But then we build management teams around them. Understand the role of a champion versus the role of a structure that can translate an idea and turn that into a successful product. And like I said, you know, we've got a model that works well with HP. And what I'm not saying here is, you know, every organization should just adopt our model because we've got it figured out. It doesn't work that way, because every organization is different. Steal, rip off, borrow, whatever ideas from the best players and adapt it to the organizations.
Thank you very much for a wonderful conversation.
Great, thank you.